Welcome to today's Explainer. Before we even start, I just want you to take a real deep breath and step back from the hustle for a minute. Today, we're exploring a deeply profound spiritual law that quietly underpins every great fortune in history. It's called the law of value. We're going to see how transforming your wisdom into wealth operates on a completely different frequency than just, working hard. So let's dive into it.
Now, here's a pretty uncomfortable question. Why aren't you rich yet? I want to acknowledge right up front the frustration you might feel even hearing that. Because, have you ever noticed that some of the absolute hardest working people out there, people who give it everything they have, day in and day out, are often the least rewarded? Maybe you're working incredibly long, exhausting hours yourself, but you just aren't seeing proportional financial rewards. You put in the time, but the outcome, it just doesn't match the effort. It feels like a broken promise, doesn't it? Society has always told us that hard work automatically equals wealth, but honestly, if that were entirely true, the person doing the most grueling physical labor from dawn till dusk would be the wealthiest person on earth. The reality is much different, and understanding exactly why is the first step in our journey today.
The crucial point we have to understand is this. The market does not pay you for your time. Just let that sink in for a second. It pays you for the value you bring to that time. Think of a master sculptor working on a huge block of stone. The world doesn't actually care if that sculptor stared at the stone for 1,000 hours or just 100 hours. What the world cares about is the beauty, the resonance, and the impact of the final statue. We need to gently but very firmly dismantle this whole myth of trading time for dollars. Interestingly enough, this idea of trading hours for wages really only took hold during the Industrial Revolution. It's essentially a factory concept designed for assembly lines, not a universal law for building real wealth. When you clock in and clock out, you're operating under a system of hard limits. There are only 24 hours in a day, right? So if you're trading time for money, your wealth is always going to be capped. True financial and honestly spiritual liberation happens the exact moment you realize your worth isn't measured by the tick of a clock, but by the weight of your contribution.
Let's consider a really powerful comparison to make sense of this. Money. Money is simply a shadow. Value is the object casting it. Now, if you want a shadow to grow larger, you can't just pull at the shadow itself. You can't stretch it out with your hands. If you spend your life running around trying to catch a shadow, you're going to find it always stays just out of reach, kind of slipping right through your fingers. It's a frantic, exhausting chase. But if you focus all your energy on the object itself, if you make the object bigger, taller, wider, the shadow naturally and effortlessly grows right along with it. Money is literally just the shadow cast by the value you present to the world. So if your shadow happens to be small right now, it simply means we need to spend a little time growing the object.
So, since we know we definitely can't catch the shadow, what's the alternative? The answer is entirely internal. We have to stop the chase and focus entirely on becoming valuable. True wisdom and enduring wealth actually come from stepping off that frantic treadmill. We have to shift our focus inward toward building our personal worth. Think of it like a seed planted in the earth. That seed doesn't stress out about the fruit it's eventually going to bear. It focuses entirely on growing its roots deep into the soil, drawing in nutrients, and becoming a strong, unshakable tree. The fruit? That's just a natural byproduct of its growth. When you invest in your own wisdom, your skills, your emotional intelligence, and your capacity to serve, you're watering that seed. You are becoming a person of deep, undeniable value.
Okay, so how do we actually ground these big philosophical concepts into, tangible, everyday laws of success? Well, here's the blueprint. First, solve problems that others can't or simply won't. Remember, the bigger the problem you solve, the larger the shadow you cast. Second, maintain your integrity when everyone else is cutting corners. In a world that is constantly rushing for quick fixes and hacks, quiet excellence and unwavering character become incredibly rare and highly prized commodities. And third, build on a rock-solid foundation of service and excellence. This isn't about hype. It's about craftsmanship. It's about doing the job so incredibly well that your work just speaks for itself. This is exactly how you dictate the terms of your success. Not through manipulation, but through an undeniable, proven track record of real, substantive service to the market.
There's a beautiful quote that captures this truth perfectly. Don't seek to be a man of success, but rather seek to be a man of value. Just let those words settle for a moment. Success, at least as the modern world defines it, is often incredibly fleeting. It can be wiped out in a market crash, a sudden change in trends, or even just a stroke of bad luck. But value? Value is something you carry within you. It's permanently etched into your character. Wealth that is built upon a foundation of genuine service and quiet excellence is honestly the only wealth that stays. It weathers the storms. When you make value your primary pursuit, you actually insulate yourself from the anxieties of the world. Why? Because you know your core worth can never,
ever be taken away from you.
And here is the deeply reassuring promise behind this entire philosophy. Income follows impact. It is an absolutely unbreakable law of nature. Just as surely as gravity holds us to the earth, the market ultimately rewards the impact you make. You don't have to force it. You don't have to panic. As your impact grows and as your wisdom deepens, your wealth will naturally, organically follow right behind it. It's such a peaceful realization once you really get it. You're no longer fighting against the current. You're finally aligning yourself with the fundamental laws of how human exchange actually works. Build your wisdom, nurture your ability to genuinely help others, and the financial rewards are going to materialize as the natural shadow of your towering value.
I want to leave you with a profound paradigm shift today. The next time you feel stuck, or the next time you feel that heavy anxiety of just not having enough, I want you to catch yourself. Stop asking the desperate question, how can I get more money? That question shrinks you down, it turns you into a chaser of shadows. Instead, I want you to replace it with the most powerful question you could possibly ask. How can I be more useful to more people? Let that be your absolute North Star. When you wake up every single day asking how you can serve, how you can solve, and how you can uplift, everything changes. Your life literally transforms from a frantic pursuit into a deeply purposeful mission. So as you step away from this explainer today, I challenge you to look at your daily work and ask yourself, how will you increase your usefulness to the world tomorrow?